What is the most hurtful thing someone said to you? When my sister committed suicide, my mother looked at me and said the wrong daughter died. It was 20-some years ago. I am okay. I don't know what is so special about you. My mother, after seeing my kids get excited that I was home from work. My grandfather said when I was 10 years old, in 2-3 years if I died to cancer in that time he won't care. My dad died suddenly when I was 8. I sat across the room from him when the doctor called it. A few weeks later, a nun at my Catholic school told me that my dad would die another 1,000 deaths if he saw my behavior. My name doesn't care about anything. He has no feelings. My dad told me I should kill myself. He now pretends everything is fine, but I'll remember that till I die. Needless to say, when he's finally dead, I won't be there for the funeral. My baby was in the NICU. My mom told me that it was my fault she was going to die because God was punishing me for marrying a sand N-word. She's 2 now. My mom told me when I was 5 that I was not wanted. Now it took me 15 years to actually stop trying to please and finally live for myself. Oh gross, my crush. When the person who was bullying me told my crush I liked them, while I was standing right there, literally talking to my crush. It was also Valentine's Day. I worked really hard in high school in theater, still very happy in it over 20 years later. I was accepted to every school I applied, and through a donation my high awarded me a scholarship. In the glow of pride of this unexpected gift, my mother said in front of everyone, I can't believe they wasted their money on you. Guess who doesn't get comps to my shows? As a kid I was very depressed, overweight and socially stunted. My brother called me a friendless fat loser who should kill myself. My mom once said, I don't even want to be your friend because you're so gloomy. I was depressed because you were abusing me, Mom. I don't give a fuck if you come back. My ex-fiancé the night before I left to go visit family in another state. Spoiler alert. I came back, but only to collect my belongings. Is it contagious? While taking a step back. As if my stutter would suddenly transfer like the pest. Thankfully for them, idiocy isn't either. You should have tried harder, my father, after my 3rd suicide attempt. Get wrecked, bitch. Now you're a part of no one's life. My father told me that I would never live to the age of 50 because I was overweight. He went as far as to leave my brother and sister his estate in the will. But I was only left a small amount of money that I would only be eligible to collect after my 50th birthday. He was one of the most cruel people I have ever met in my life. If you had brains, you wouldn't know what to do with them. One of my mom's favorites growing up. When I was 11, my sister was in a car accident after my mother came back from the hospital. She looked at me and said, why couldn't have been you? My mom said, it's no wonder none of your friends like you, so I guess there's that. I could kill you right now, not even care. Ex-fiancé. We were in an argument about his past choices of sleeping around, giving me 4 STDs, and he said at least my choices didn't kill my daughter. For context, my daughter had died that year at 6 months in her sleep SIDS. Everything was done correctly to help prevent SIDS, but it just happened. It was not my or anybody's fault. Anyway, he said that, and I started throwing hands. Landed my ass in jail. But all charges were dropped, and I was acquitted because that was bullshit, and literally everyone in the system told me they would have done the same. We would never do that to you. Turns around and does it. You won't ruin my new family. My mom to 13-ish-year-old me jokes on her. She ruined it herself. Your father tried to commit suicide because you are such a bad kid. When I was 14, I came home after school and no one was there. No one came home by dinner time. So I started on my homework. An hour or two later, my stepmother came home along with my stepbrother. She told my dad had tried to kill himself and was rushed to the hospital. I'll never forget what she said. Your father tried to commit suicide because you are such a bad kid. My 6th grade teacher told me I was stupid. A little backstory. It was the late 80s and I'm dyslexic. It was a small school and I don't think they knew what dyslexia was. It still fucked me up for a long time. My religious mom assumed I was a pedophile just because I'm gay. I'll never forget that shitty feeling of being thought of like that by my own mother and the fact that she thought I was capable of something like that. To her, all forms of sexual immorality are one and the same. No matter how disappointed you are in yourself, God is much, much more disappointed. My youth pastor, when I tried to seek help for being sexually active at age 14. He walked out the door and never looked at me again. Your dad did not molest you. Corporal punishment is not his fetish. My dad did molest me. Corporal punishment is his fetish. My husband is an attorney and cross-examines my childhood traumas. He tries to alter my thoughts and memories. One of my parents told me that I was a burden. Keep in mind that this is after years of the whole family implying this to me. I had recently got out of the hospital for the 3rd time due to health issues. All of them denied they told me this before, saying it wasn't meant to be interpreted that way. It's been a year now and it still hurts whenever I remember this. They aren't wrong about it, but I wish it was never said out loud. I'm still trying to become fully independent and it's a struggle, lol. You don't deserve that, corn dog. You're a nobody. A nothing. Your nipple tastes like feet. You're broken. I want a new one. My mother to my face when I was 14-15 years old. I was suicidal 13F at the time and trying to ask for help. You need to pray more. I mean, no offense to any religion. If you break a leg, you need more than just prayer. You need a doctor. The same should be applied to mental health care. It is, however, shamed by a great many people. My dad once was angry at me and said that he wished I were an abortion. I knew even back then that he didn't mean it. Yet sometimes decades later, it still stings. My biggest regret is losing control of you. Married woman who got me a job as her bakery assistant and then sexually harassed me out of it. I was 10 and our dog was chained to the clothesline so he could run back and forth. Was out there with her. And I can't remember what had happened or what I did. But my mother told me that she hoped the chain would wrap around my neck and strangle me to death. One of a few similar things she did and said throughout my life. Maybe that's why I never shed a tear while I sat on her deathbed cancer and watched the nurse give her that final shot of morphine before she took her few last agonal breaths. I was 18 when my sister died suddenly of an aneurysm. For weeks after, I was told so many different iterations of it's all in God's plan, everything happens for a reason, that was the start of my break from my own faith and losing my religion. I cannot imagine saying something like that to someone who just lost a sibling. I have a visceral reaction to that phrase to this day. And it was 24 years ago next month.